Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Brett, Alonso, Masters of Sex, Season 3, Episode 3, The Excitement of Release.
Yeah.
Get it?
I don't. Could you explain
Because
it?
the book
came
has
out.
been released.
Oh, and that's...
And then it also sounds like, yeah. Anyway,
Got it.
All right. So, yeah, a lot goes down.
Yeah, we've covered... We've had some time since the book has come out. Not a lot.
She went from pregnant to crying baby in the next room. So
Right.
it was some months of, I think 8, they said 8 months.
8 months, and they're reading reviews to each other in the bed.
Yes.
And this is kind of their pillow talk.
When the reviews are really good, that's excellent foreplay.
And we're sure, and then the reviews of the book in the world.
Yes.
In the real world, they're good.
They were,
like
yeah.
it.
It was a breakthrough book. It was a big deal when it came out.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
The release of that is exciting. And so we come back to terms with the fact that these two are he's trying to do the nasty with her for the first
time since since pregnant, I guess.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, you know, and I had missed last week, so I watched these two in a row. So I was still sort of coming off of his big, like, be a better mother by working more speech, which I thought was actually kind of cool. But yeah, so they're kind of trying to get back to where they were before all this went down. Meanwhile, Libby is trying to sort of fight back ideas of leaving when faced with the example of her neighbor who wants to move out.
And I think this was the most like concrete expression of where she's at in her life. I've gotten this season in terms of I've seen her kind of struggling with coming to terms, but I wasn't quite sure how much sex Bill and Virginia were having. And so this is the point where, oh, I can tell now that those two are back together doing it. And we watch Libby in one scene deal with her, activism that she's, very, very deep into. And then also, talking to her neighbor who has really said, I've had enough of this. And I am walking out on my life. You can walk away from it. Right.
And she, it's that thing where Libby's trying to give her advice that she doesn't even buy herself anymore. That she's saying all the right things, but realizing that, oh, wait, I need to, start with the man in the mirror.
Hearing yourself say them out loud. And then if we keep following through this part of the plot, at the very end of the episode, we find out that, there has been at least a negative physical not consequence, but something terrible has happened. A catastrophic aneurysm has befallen this. The former housewife who was struck out on her own across the street. And so, of course, it seems like Libby is putting these together as this is the negative consequence.
Yes, here's what happens. You leave your husband, you get an aneurysm,
Yeah, which is strange because an aneurysm, isn't that also a release when there's been so much pent up?
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, so that is not the excitement.
That's not so exciting. No.
Nothing exciting about
quite
losing.
the contrary.
Yeah.
Then meanwhile, you've got Tessa. With this boy who seems interested, and then things take a rapey turn.
Yes.
Although, as we've discovered in if you read the New York Magazine cover story about Bill Cosby, people didn't think of what we now think of as date rape, acquaintance rape. At the in the 60s, there was no term for that, and so women thought, oh, I've done something wrong. I somehow led him on or whatever. And clearly at the end of the episode where she's agreeing to go out with him again,
she doesn't know how it's going to play out because originally going into it, she had all these discussions with him about.
Well, she played herself off as being more sophisticated.
Exactly. So she doesn't know if what she did was wrong, if what he did. She has a feeling that what he did was wrong. I don't think she expects him to ask her out again after that.
No, I mean, if anything, she seemed, the way the sound is set up, she's thinking, oh, they're all talking about me behind my back. They're all whispering. They're all giggling. And actually, no one. He doesn't seem to have been like, he hasn't been bad mouthing or anything. He hasn't told people about it. Yeah. But he does ask her out again, and she says yes because. She probably feels that she's to blame, even though obviously she isn't. But that was the standard of the time, where women didn't feel like they had that kind of agency that they were able to sort of say no, and that they were allowed to say no, and they should say no, and all that stuff.
And I like the different aspects of it because I like in this plot arc we are getting what you're saying specifically about I guess the general experience of females at this time, but we're also getting like a very specific family, how Virginia's work is affecting her family.
Sure.
And we're getting that at the same time, and they both seem super compelling. And I mean, as weird as it is to say that I enjoy scenes like that, but like I get it. There's like an intense drama that's going and playing out, and I think the acting from Tessa is great.
She's great. That Isabel Furman, Orphan.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said last week. I'm like, that's the girl from Orphan.
Yeah,
so
she's
amazing. You know. But yeah, so and it worked out. It kind of played out in this very organic, bumbling. Take the bumbling the kids who nowadays, like the bumbling they have. I mean, when I was in high school, like not knowing what the hell I was doing, plus like a time when sex itself was shrouded in this intentional cloud of don't do it, don't talk about it. Yeah. I think that plays out very well. And then we also have Virginia and Tessa talking to each other about how involved Virginia is in Tessa's life, and how up a creek she is because Tessa now really doesn't want her. She wants both. She wants a mother who's there, but since that ship has sailed, the mother who could be there is also the mother who delivered 4,000 copies of potentially interpreted as smut material.
Right. Well, it's just, she goes. I wanted you not to come because I wanted you not to come, not because you had work. You know, that's what it boils down to. It's like you need to be a shitty mother on my terms. If you keep being a shitty mother on your own terms, then it's just shitty.
Right.
You know?
Right. I feel bad for specific reasons that are mine. Yeah. I think I'm happy that I don't really even remember what season 2 was about. I feel like season 1 was great. Yeah. Season 3 is really good. Season 2 was about are we going to keep the company afloat?
Well, season 2 was a lot in the hotel rooms, you know. But
I did not like any.
I had some good episodes in there, but yeah, I think things are picking up now. They're sort of out in the world and dealing with the idea of becoming famous for this thing.
Yes.
You know, and who wants to hitch a ride on that? Like it does, like it makes perfect sense for Hugh Hefner to want to underwrite them. And while I think Bill is wrong in turning down his support, he's totally right in saying that Hefner wants to legitimize himself by attaching himself to these people of science. But I mean, I think that's been a fair trade. I mean, the Playboy Foundation in general has actually supported a lot of really important research work and work in the arts as vis-a-vis sex. And yes, of course it reflects well on him, but that's what foundations do. That's how they all work. You know, the Ford Foundation or any other thing that's run by somebody who's maybe in a, I make poisonous chemicals, but I also paid for this library. You know, that's the balance that philanthropy has always gone into.
And I like seeing all these people who, you have the Josh Charles character.
Was it Food and Fragrance?
Food and Fragrance, the Flavors and Fragrance.
Flavors and Fragrance.
And so we got his character, we have the hand massager guy, and we've got Hefner, each of whom I thinks that this should be a pretty easy deal to strike.
Sure.
And I really like that because you get these people who fancy themselves like part of the sexual revolution and folks who are saying, let's just express ourselves with things that are natural.
Sure.
And for Virginia and Bill, you can't deny that their motivation is a little bit of fame, notoriety, at least in their academic circles to be thought of as legitimate, I think is interchangeable with what a lot of people think of as fame. And then you have entrepreneurs who are just trying to make money off certain things. And that is also what Bill's trying to do by trying to get him, his way of doing it is trying to get it into the university.
Yeah.
But I really like watching, and they've done a really good job of setting it up so that all these people at different parts in the sexual dialogue are partnering up and forging these alliances and trying to see where, the front is.
Right.
And I really like it. I like the personal massager guy. He's just he's the mousy guy from, what is he in? He's in Ocean's 11, isn't he?
Oh, funny. Maybe, I don't
know. He's in something where he's like the sweaty, like bomb guy. Like he's a mole in a I forget what it is.
We have Beau Bridges is back.
Love it.
And kudos to this show for not pairing him off with a guy yet. Because it's still, 1965? 66 maybe? He would still not be ready for that. He would still be, shooting for some degree of professional legitimacy, which means,
Right.
you know,
Equilibrium.
Exactly, like having another woman by his side, if only for appearance's sake. She's clearly just happy to feed him, you know.
That's what it is, right? I couldn't tell if she was in on it. Like if she knew.
I don't know if she knows, but it might be a sort of unspoken thing that she has intuited, but she just wants the companionship.
Right.
Who knows? But I like the fact that they didn't. Sometimes period shows try and lean too much towards the modern audience and what we expect and our desires for how characters should be. And so, yeah, he would still be in another sham marriage like that.
And such,
for sure.
Oh, I think what a great actor. What a great actor.
Oh, he's so great.
And in that scene specifically, there's a lot of moments where they just kind of let it breathe. The part of the conversation comes to an end. And it's such a great position that his character is in where he's finding that equilibrium. He's just at a place that he's happy.
Right.
And the kind of relief that comes after so much time of pretending.
Sure.
And even though he's pretending now, he's no longer trying to be, in charge of the department.
But at the same time, he is totally being a toady, and Masters is right to call him out on it for being the whipping boy for this other asshole, you know.
But like the relaxation that the level of relaxation that he's allowed, and he's in, and they light the scenes. It's dark. It's just this, apartment building as opposed to being in his, multi-room mansion. He's at this place, and the scenes play out, and he gets to that point, but he knows that Bill wants to go to this mixer, and he's like, and he takes a moment. I loved it. He took that moment just to go, there is a cocktail party tonight, and I was not planning on going.
To go.
But I think that was great. And then watching Bill, and everyone is in line with where their character should be. There's nothing strange.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're getting as writery with episodes. There's still like a lot of, these people are doing this thing, and over here the same dynamics playing out, but it isn't as like frame story dependent and strange. We're in a hotel room trying to watch a fight on the.
I like that episode.
I hated that episode. I hated those episodes. This one is just very back in line with where the characters are and should be.
And of course, and the angry wife of the film guy.
Yes,
that was Betty. Always, the thing is, we've forgotten at this point that she used to be a prostitute.
Yes.
And she is, if she got nothing else out of that experience, she draws a bead on human nature like nobody else on this show.
Right.
Like she reads people, she understands what they want, she knows where they're coming from, better than anybody else on this show.
And this is the point where her experience in getting money for sex benefits the entire operation.
Yes.
Whose job it is right now is to get money for the work they've done in sex.
Yes. So, this show, it's so awesome. All right, we hope you're liking it too, and we'll be back to talk about it more next week.